every career option has some plus and some minus points. So also this one has. But otherwise, uh, I recommend that youngsters should not get disheartened by whatever uh, minus points I have mentioned, because such minus points are there in all the domains. So they are here also. But otherwise, this is a pretty good academic career. It's a very strong career. One can easily find a matching job profile overseas for overseas employment, and one can get a lot of job satisfaction in this kind of a job. The satisfaction from having dealt in exotic technologies, for example. Okay, so it does give a kick to those who value that kind of kick in their life. Yeah, it's a very nice area. I would have personally preferred it for myself also.
Hello, sir. In terms of design and techie software jobs, why are they considered elitist in manufacturing and the engineering industry?
There are several reasons for it. First of all, these are considered as elitist job because these people are overqualified as compared to others. Usually, those people are MTechs, sometimes PhDs. So they are qualification wise they are superior. Intellect wise they are superior in the sense that they have had more of academic exposure, academic bent of mind, and they are comfortable sometimes with lot of mathematics, etc., and esoteric terms, terminology which normal people in shop floor are not well versed with. So they feel threatened by the academic power of this particular group. Secondly, these people get to sit normally in an air conditioned office, and people say that they sit in ivory tower sometimes jokingly. And usually these people have a relatively cool life in the sense that they are sitting in front of a computer monitor all 8 hours, 10 hours, 16 hours, whatever work they may put in. But and they are working with exotic software features, uh, very exacting design standards they have to know. They have to know industry practices. And so, yes, it is a coveted lot. People are envious of these people. And of course, one more factor is there that sometimes these people, even after they retire, they can get to do some consultancy work based on their specific expertise. Because among all other equals, these people are experts in certain domain. Okay, so the domain knowledge is their big asset, and their expertise is their big asset. So they are sought after they retire. And nowadays we have seen in India that lot of back end design offices have mushroomed for the rest of the world, that is for the Western world. So one can get employed in these functions even apart from a factory. One can get employed in these design centers and these back end offices which cater to overseas market. Okay, now that is really a coveted job because you get international exposure, you are contemporary with technologies, and so yes, there is every reason for others to be envious of this group.
As you rightly mentioned, they are accused to be sitting in ivory towers and building citadels around the domains. But is this a fact or just an impression carried by people?
Now I'm afraid sometimes this is a fact also, and there are reasons for that. The reasons are that these people are somehow averse to going on shop floor. They are averse to mixing with shop floor people, with people from other domains. They shy to interact as much as they should with the other functionalities. As a result, they are regarded as snobbish and like reserved characters who are into their own shell. So that is one factor. Other factor is that they design something, okay, where they give some tight tolerances, for example, irrespective of whether the equipment you have in your shop floor, whether the capability you have in your shop floor, whether the manpower you have in your shop floor is capable of producing that kind of accuracy or not. Okay, so they are blind to what is there available on shop floor for carrying out their designs and implement them into a product. Okay. So sometimes they appear to become blind to these realities of shop floor life. That is why probably yes, sometimes people are justified in saying that they are sitting in ivory tower of their own and quite delinked from the reality, ground realities of the shop floor.
Could this also be a generational thing? Like, do you think the new generation would be different?
Yeah, generational thing comes into play for one simple reason that usually in shop floor, it is much easier to find people who have risen through ranks. So they are slightly underqualified people who have risen through ranks, and they are quite old, quite aged, and quite matured, I would say, out of the practical experience that they have. Now, in design and CAD CAM kind of functions, usually you find youngsters who are fresh out of college, who are fresh postgraduates and fresh PhDs, who have not had much of industrial exposure, plus they are of much younger age. So that generation gap is definitely there. Because usually in design offices you will not find veterans so easily. And veterans, those who are there, they belong to the drawing board technology. They have not graduated because somehow those people have also a mental block, and there is a feeling that only unless you stand on a design board and design, you are not a designer, which is not true in today's era of CAD models, of course. Now, younger generation is savvy and they get used to working with CAD models and software tools and all, which older people, even if they are in design, they are reluctant to do that somehow. Yeah. So there is a divide in young and old generation, even in design and software functions, but more so when you compare with shop floor. That generation gap is to be seen.
What are the job profiles within these functions?
Well, most of these job profiles will be, of course, working. Earlier, they used to work on drawing board. They used to draw, or the senior people used to check the drawings. Now, in the era of CAD CAM and software, most of them work most of the time on computer monitor workstation through the software tools, day in, day out. And of course, there are levels. One starts as a designer or a software technician. After that, one can become a small group leader. Each group may have some 5, 6 members, and there could be a group lead. And then there could be only a head of design office. So there are relatively fewer levels as compared to shop floor, where there is a tall hierarchy. In these kind of functions, they are fairly flat organizations. And one more thing tends to happen because of that is that many times when companies select, they select many contemporaries or class fellows even. The students who used to be class fellows get selected together and they sit in the same hall in the same design office. Now, if there are 10 fellows from the same batch who passed out in the same year, obviously all 10 of them cannot get promoted together. So, most of the time, most of the places, one may be able to promote just couple of them in 1 year. So, which means that the others get a signal that we may have to wait as long as 5 years for our turn to come. So, that is sometimes a disturbing factor because all are young, all are from same age group. It is like an extension of college days and classroom. They sit in the similar hall doing somewhat similar activity on workstations. Okay, but uh, promotions and all are difficult to come. First of all, because there are not so many levels. Secondly, how many people percentage wise one can promote in a given year. So that becomes a demotivating factor. Another demotivating factor is that when they compare themselves with their peers in shop floor. In shop floor, somebody who is in production, for example, has a lot of people under his hand. So he becomes very powerful, very strong. His area grows like anything. When a person becomes senior, say with 5 years or 10 years experience, he would have grown immensely and a lot of people will be working under him. So administratively, he will become very tall. Whereas a design office man will remain a designer for lifetime. At the most, he will become group lead or the head of design, but there will be only one head of design design office. So promotions are difficult to come. Change of role is difficult to expect. More or less, they continue in the same role for almost entire, at least of half of their career. Okay, so that is one flip side.
So, do they tend to suffer in terms of career rise?
Yeah, because they are overqualified first of all. So they expect, of course, at the time of entry, they get benefit of one level. They are usually recruited one level higher as compared to ordinary graduates, those who are PGs. Those who are PhDs may get two level higher. But then that is only in the starting. After that, there are not so many levels, there is no tall hierarchy functionally. So while the salary may grow, emoluments may grow, but the nature of job remains the same. The administrative power does not grow. And this is not a function where they get to interact with too many people. So the kind of clout they carry, the kind of networking which others have, they miss that part because they tend to become loners. Okay.
Okay. Other than that, which is already a big downside, are there any other major downsides of these career options?
In design, it is a very complicated job. It is very easy to make a mistake. It is very easy to make a mistake. It could be a stupid mistake, typographical error, just some dimensioning error, okay, or it could be a blunder. Blunder meaning in the part list you have called a part number which belongs to a different item, and looking at the number, one may not realize what is this item. But only when somebody is going to assemble it, this is realized that the wrong part has come and this is not fitting. Okay. So any mistakes, they surface much later, much after the design has been checked and released and passed and closed. Something like after 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, suddenly some mistakes get discovered, blunders get discovered, and by the time it is too late, and company would have suffered too much of loss on account of this mistake. So the mistakes get blown out of proportion. Everybody comes to know of these mistakes, and those are talked about in the meetings, and the person who is involved gets a bad name unduly. It is human. I mean, somebody can make very easily a mistake in typing some 16-digit number, for example, on a computer. Very easy to have a typographical error, for example. But that typographical error can lead to a big disaster, which is not easy to foresee, which is not easy to control also, right? So many times there are cases, particularly in products which have a long manufacturing period, that the problems of design get discovered much later when the project is about to be shipped. Just at the nick of time, some problem, blunder gets discovered, and then you go back by a couple of months. Yeah. So one gets a lot of brickbats. And what happens that once any such mistake is discovered once, the person gets a bad name and then he is suspected all the time. And then once a mistake happens, the people in the downstream process, they wash their dirty linen in that. Whatever mistakes they have committed also get passed off under the big mistake made by designer. So that is the flip side. But yes, these kind of things happen. So because of these things, it becomes a vulnerable job. It is very easy to make mistake. It is difficult to control mistakes, however careful one may be. Even if the designs get 100% checked, even checker can miss some points, right? So these things sometimes become a big peril for this career.
What could be done to improve working conditions for these functions?
Now, as I said some time back, that they have to break the impression that they are sitting in ivory towers. So they have to interact more. I would recommend that anybody who goes in the design first has a stint on shop floor for a brief period, for 6 months at least. If somebody has worked in a machine shop, for example, or in an assembly shop, in shop floor function, then his feet will be on ground. He knows what is going on in shop, what is to be expected of shop. Otherwise, they go by the rule book they give some tolerances, they give some accuracy requirement, and then they sit tight, they don't give deviation to anybody. And sometimes they do so to play over safe for themselves. So where 10 micron error would have passed, probably they will give 5 micron tolerance to keep some safety margin for themselves. Yeah, okay. So they have a tendency to play over safe. Yeah. Now, if they know what is the accuracy capability of their machines, of their shop floor, of their people, probably they will be much more realistic in giving these kind of dictates in design. The kind of design which they do, the kind of tolerances they give, the kind of specifications they ask for, okay, the kind of design standard they adhere to. Probably all of them will become much more practical, easy to do. Nowadays, of course, one more stream is emerging. It is called as DFM and DFM and A. Design for manufacturability and assembly, right? So you subject the design to these kind of empirical checks, and you find out whether this design is doable economically or not, whether it is feasible or not. So upfront one can assess the design, the quality of design, and do a better job. Another problem which is there, which the organization faces, that many times the bosses do not understand what the designers do, what are their difficulties, what is their job profile, what is their difficulty level, is not understood. So initially, these people are treated as blue-eyed boys, bright boys, and they are shown as asset to any visitors, that these are the bright qualified boys with us. But when there is some mistake, when there is some disaster, after that they suddenly develop a cold feet and they start suspecting everything, and then they go by hearsay. So whether a designer is excellent designer or he's a lousy designer, goes by hearsay, goes by word of mouth, and goes by the discovery of mistakes made in the past. Okay. So the realistic assessment as case to case basis is difficult. So I would recommend that the bosses in the organizations they spend some time in design offices and they get to know what is the difficulty level, what are the pitfalls in these kind of functions, so that they are realistically able to assess the performance and quality of these people, the caliber of these people. Otherwise, they tend to go by impressions. And these people are generally not extroverts, so they are not able to express their own performance, their own difficulties in so many words. Unlike sales and marketing people or shop floor people who are very vocal, this particular group is not very vocal. They are silent sufferers. So they do a good job, they slog a lot, but then they are not able to represent their problems or their achievements so effectively. Another problem which these people are facing is that nowadays the softwares become obsolete very fast. So software tools, by the time one learns, by the time one masters, it becomes obsolete. So one has to keep current with whatever is the latest in technology tools, in software tools. But having said that, one more thing is there, that proficiency in software tools is not a substitute for knowing the basics of engineering design. Okay. Many times when people attend courses in design, they are often taught these software tools only in these kind of classes, etc., which are there. They focus more on this commercial software selling kind of thing. So they assume that, for example, if you know Python, you know AI, but Python is just a software tool. Okay. So software tool, of course, one has to know software tool, but software tool is not an alternative to knowing the basics of engineering and basics of design. So that is the last word that I would like to communicate to this community, that this particular distinction they have to make. Okay. Tools you have to learn, tools you have to keep current, but fundamentals have to be there. Creativity has to be there. Engineering sense has to be there in anything and everything which they do. Yeah. So good luck to all those who are thinking of pursuing this as a career. It's a very nice area. It's a very good area. Only thing is, Yes, there are some plus and minus as they are everywhere. These are here also. But otherwise, in general, it's a good area. I would have personally preferred it for myself also. Okay. Good luck.